A. Catastrophic death. This hadith hints at the coming of a catastrophic death on earth, expressed by the word mautan, a violent death on the eve of the Day of Judgment. This characterization is in accordance with what astronomers have described, that the first hours or days of the meteor fall will result in the deaths of millions of people. A further consequence will be the emergence of epidemics, devastating famines that will befall the majority of humanity. These characteristics are in accordance with what is derived from the words of the Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, the catastrophe of a terrible death. This catastrophic death is not the death mentioned in the hadith, in the first chapter of this book, because the death mentioned earlier was not attributed the attribute of shaddid catastrophic. The wording of the hadith indicates that this death is specific to the Ummah of Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, or more specifically the companions. One of its characteristics is that it came upon them like a lion pouncing on a goat, indicating that the cause of death is a plague. We have already mentioned an expression that refers more to the plague of Amwis, the Amwis. As for the terrible death here, which occurs before the day of resurrection, it is general, and does not only affect the Ummah of Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. This death is catastrophic, destroying people in large numbers and en masse. Its connection with the next sign of the last days, the years of earthquakes, is a direct connection. B. Years with many earthquakes. This sign is directly related to two things. The first is the catastrophic death, because the years of the earthquake occurred directly after the catastrophic death. The second is the establishment of the caliphate in Bayt al-Maqdis. It is possible that the establishment of the caliphate may have coincided with the years of the earthquake, or may have preceded it by a short interval. This prediction is explained by some of the answer, or by the understanding derived from them, as stated in the previous hadith. What is meant by earthquake years are certain years during which the earth frequently experiences earthquakes and shocks that can be observed, so that these characteristics and properties can be proven. The years in question have not yet occurred. It also indicates that these earthquakes and shocks are not the usual earthquakes that occur on the Earth's globe, nor, as some people claim, that we have already experienced that period, nor are the earthquakes that have occurred so for proof of the occurrence of this sign of the last days. Why? Because the earthquakes we experience and those experienced by our predecessors occur under normal and ordinary conditions on the Earth's globe, so they do not correspond to indications that they are abnormal earthquakes. Of course, these two hadiths that reveal a normal earthquake do not mean to negate its being a punishment earthquake. My point is simply this: the phenomena that have occurred in our time have never taken the form of abnormal phenomena that match the characteristics described. That is, those are the years of the earthquake in question. The ordinary and immediate meaning of the words of the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, is that there will be special years during which our earth will be neither calm nor stable, nor comfortable for its inhabitants because of frequent tremors, and the earthquakes will be unlike any other earthquake. The question that arises here is, what are the events that can affect the stability of the Earth's sphere or its rock plates? Looking at the first hadith, we find information about the connection between these earthquakes and the major events leading up to the establishment of the caliphate in Bayt al-Maqdis. In the previous hadiths, it was already evident that there is a close connection between the coming of the Mahdi and the appearance of the sign in the sky, which also shows the connection between the three events mentioned earlier. So the sequence is the falling of debris from the sky that destroys the balance of the geological structure of the earth and affects the balance of its rock plates, two great deaths. The change in the state of human society and the standard of strength, the spread of famine and rampant killing, the coming of the Mahdi, the descent of the caliphate in Bayt al-Maqdis, then the earthquake and its tremendous shaking. This statement of mine is confirmed by a hadith narrated by Abu Sa'id al-Khudri radiyallahu anhu. Rasulullah shallallahu alayhi wasallam said, I give you glad tidings of the Mahdi, who will be sent in the midst of the Ummah on account of disputes among the people and many earthquakes. And then he will fill the earth with justice and rectitude, as it was filled with deceit and injustice before. Imam Ahmad, Baqi Musnad al-Makat Siren, one of the narrators is Majhul. This Atsar corroborates what I have described about the connection between the earthquakes that occurred and the coming of al-Mahdi. It should be noted that the establishment of the caliphate in Bayt al-Maqdis in the years of the earthquakes did not occur during the era of the Mahdi. As for the disputes between people, they are closely related to the sign of the Day of Judgment in the form of al-Harj murder, which has been explained in the previous section, and which will become worse when the Euphrates River reveals its treasures. 3. The shortening of time. Abu Hurairah, may Allah be pleased with him, reported that the Messenger of Allah, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon him, said, "The hour will not come, so that time will be shortened. A year will be like a month like a week like a day like a moment, and a moment like the length of burning a palm frond." Imam Ahmad, Baqi Musnad al-Mukatsirin. This hadith is Sanad Hasan, and has a Shahid narrated by al-Tirmidhi, from Anas. Explanation: this sign has been explained in the previous section. There, I stated that what is meant by the approaching of the time is real and not figurative. The proof of this is that at that time, there will be an observable earthquake or tremor due to its magnitude, that occurs suddenly and affects the motion of the Earth's sphere and accelerates its rotation. Based on the latest scientific developments, it is possible to describe the state of earthquakes that affect the Earth's rotation and revolution. These earthquakes are not balanced and do not occur based on certain processes or conditions. The Earth's rotation is accelerating, as is its revolution. Instead of increasing the speed of the Earth's sphere around the Sun once every 12 months, the Earth now revolves in just 1 month. In my opinion, the Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, mentioned this comparison only as an approximation, and was not meant to be a definite measurement. The Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, was explaining to the companions the comparative length of time. And then he gave an example that was closer to that meaning, when he said, "A year is like a month is like a week," and so on. If we relate this sign to what happens during the time of Dajjal, when the first day is like a year, and the second day is like a month, then it is illustrated to us that the end of the era of earthquakes that afflict the globe occurs during the time of Dajjal. In other words, the Earth's sphere at the beginning of the event remains in its normal state, and as a result of a number of unusual natural events, the Earth will experience an acceleration of its rotation and revolution, after which it will experience a slowdown in its rotation, so that its first rotation is like a full year, its second rotation is like a month, and then it returns gradually to its normal rotation, and returns to its balance. The relationship between the shortening of time and natural events. There are actually no strong indications that describe the character of the era of change and the length of time of this sign. There are, however, a number of indications that may corroborate the sign's relationship with the years of major natural events. Perhaps the most important indication is the character and nature of this sign itself, as it is associated with essential changes in the movement of the Earth. This is inconceivable unless there are major and essential natural events affecting the Earth. The second indication is that this sign describes the shortening of time, whereas in the time of the Dajjal, the Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, indicates that it will be longer. The hadith that deals specifically with the Dajjal contains a number of landmarks that corroborate that the time will be longer in the true sense of the word. We already know that the sign of smoke and the Dajjal are among the 10 major signs of the hour. In the previous section, we have explained the relationship between the two, which leads to the conclusion that the Dajjal will appear after the sign of smoke. It is also known that at the beginning of the time of the Dajjal, there is a feature that distinguishes it from other times. which is that the lengthening of time is related to what has been described as the existence of earthquakes and violent shocks to the movement of the earth, which reinforces the conclusion that before the Dajjal comes out, time will become shorter, and shorter for the same reason that affects the movement of the earth, both rotation and revolution. 4. Euphrates River reveals mountain of gold. From Harith bin Nawfal, who said, I was standing with Ubay bin Ka'b when he said, those people are always twisting their necks in search of the world. I said, yes. He said, I heard the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, say, the Euphrates River almost uncovered a mountain of gold. So when the people heard about it, they traveled to it, and the man beside him said, if we let the people take the gold, they will spend it all. He, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, said, then they killed each other over the gold, so that out of every 100 people 99 were killed. Muslim, Al-Fitan, Hadith, No. 2895. Abu Huraira reported that the Messenger of Allah, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon him, said, the hour will not come until the river Euphrates reveals a mountain of gold, and people kill each other over it. For every 100 people, 99 will be killed, but each one of them will say, perhaps I will be one of the survivors. Muslim, Al-Fitan, Hadith, No. 2894. Abu Huraira, may Allah be pleased with him, reported that the Messenger of Allah, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon him, said, the river Euphrates is about to reveal a treasure of gold, and whoever fights over it will not get anything from it. H.R. Al-Bukhari, Al-Fitan, Hadith No. 7119. Explanation. A. General and immediate meaning of the uncovering of the Euphrates River. The Euphrates River is a famous river in Iraq. It contributes to one of the many important signs of the Day of Judgment, as this hadith explains that the Euphrates River will reveal its waters. Al-Hasr means uncovering, and when it is used in conjunction with water or the sea, it means the exhaustion of the water or the seeping of the water into the ground, so as to reveal the soil at the bottom. Lisan al-Arab. As for the word Jabal Mountain, it is linguistically, in Arabic, a name for all the large and long pegs or stakes of the earth, part of the signs of nature, while the small and individual ones are called Aqam and Kor. Lisan al-Arab. From these two words, Hasr and Jabal, two insights can be gleaned. First, the Euphrates River, this great river, will run out of water abnormally, to the extent that its clay is visible at its bottom, or almost visible. Thus, the river will reveal to people, after the water is revealed, the great treasure of gold, which the Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, described as a mountain. This is a figurative word that indicates the amount of treasure, because one of the meanings of the word Jabal Mountain is a lot. Furthermore, the word Jabal Mountain here has a figurative meaning denotation. It does not refer to the real mountain that has a peak and a height that rises on the surface of the earth. Second, what is meant by Basar? Here is the original meaning of revelation, not the exhaustion of water. What happened was most likely the movement of the earth's layers that resulted in the appearance of a large mountain of gold amidst the waters of the Euphrates. This is the correct understanding and the true meaning of the words Hasr and Jabal. These two meanings are both contained in the wording of this hadith, each of which has indications that point to it. B. Modern scientists' opinions on the uncovering of the Euphrates River. There is a difference in today's scientists' descriptions of the meaning of mountain Jabal and the meaning of revelation Basar. I explain this below. 1. What is meant by a mountain of gold is petroleum. Some modern scientists think that what is meant by the mountain of gold is oil. The meaning of this hadith is, in accordance with their concept and description, that the Euphrates River will reveal a large oil well. This understanding is far from the truth, for the following reasons. A. The word Jabal Mountain indicates that the treasure stored in the Euphrates River is not appropriate if it is used to indicate liquid materials such as oil. even with a figurative meaning denotation majas, which is appropriate for the word bare sea or bohira narrow sea. B. This hadith uses the word inhizer uncovering for rivers, which implies a connection between the exhaustion of water and the uncovering of the mountain of gold. This interpretation does not apply to oil, because the existence of oil is known in advance, and its exploration is done by drilling deep into the seabed. So there is no need to deplete the water and remove it first. C. The facts prove the weakness of this possibility. The wording of the hadith indicates that great and abundant wealth appeared on the Euphrates River, and people killed each other over it. So what happened indicates the privilege of wealth in that place from one side, while from the other side the wording implies that there was no similar wealth in other places. If this were not the case, then it would not be possible for people to gather and congregate in that place alone, and not in other places. As for oil, it is found in many places, and in abundance in the Arabian Peninsula and Iraq. Therefore, the discovery of oil in the Euphrates does not make it special, nor does it mobilize the people to the extent of fighting and killing each other over it. D. The wording of this hadith indicates a period of change from the current situation that we are experiencing. In our time, a variety of treasures have emerged, the most important of which is oil, hence the name black gold. Hence, the existence of a mountain of gold, no matter how large in our time, would not be considered a special discovery. The discovery of a mountain of gold is similar to the discovery of a large oil field in a certain place. It is for this reason that I imagine that the event of the appearance of the mountain of gold occurred during a period when gold was highly esteemed at that time, and other treasures were scarce, so that the appearance of the mountain of gold was able to move and excite so many people to fight and kill each other. Perhaps it was during a period of hardship, famine, and depletion of wealth. E. The wording of this hadith indicates that anyone can take gold from the mountain. This is understood from the words of the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. Whoever participates in fighting over it does not take anything from it. Everyone present near this treasure is able to take it. This illustrates that gold is true gold. As for oil, the matter becomes difficult, because extracting oil from the earth and processing it until it can be utilized requires the intervention of the state and giant oil companies. This is a strong indication that the meaning of this treasure is oil. 2. What is meant by the uncovering of the Euphrates River? Some of today's scientists are trying to prove that the Euphrates uncovering has already taken place in our time. They explain that the uncovering of the Euphrates began in our time with the building of dams on the river in Turkey, which resulted in less water flowing into Iraq. He thought that if more water was dammed up, the Euphrates would eventually run out of water and expose its bed. In my opinion, this is just an attempt to force an understanding by taking the hadith to its wrong meaning. The dam will not totally block the flow of water, although it may reduce the flow of water.